Good evening. I would like to call the February 9th, 2022 work session to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Colleen, will you please call roll?
Mr. Ambrose. Mr. Bloom.
Here.
Mrs. DeSenzo.
Here.
Mr.
Here.
Mr. Moan.
Here.
Mr. O'Neill.
Here.
Mr. Ross.
Here.
Mr. Zaritsky.
Here.
Ms. Belcastro.
Here. Mr. Hallisey, I turn it over to you.
Thank you. I'm just going to read our decorum statement on our notification of executive session. The board recognizes the value to school governance of public comment on educational issues and the importance of involving members of the public in board meetings. The board also recognizes its responsibility for proper governance of the district and the need to conduct its business in an orderly and efficient manner. The district is asking that the following be adhered to. Each comment made by a participant shall be limited to 3 minutes without exception. No participant may speak more than once on the same topic without exception. All statements shall be directed to the president of the board, and no participant may address or question the board members individually. Any questions may be addressed at the next board meeting. Failure to follow the requirements outlined by the board may result in termination of the time to provide a statement if it's too lengthy, personally directed, abusive, or obscene. A request to leave the meeting if that person does not observe reasonable decorum. Requesting the assistance of law enforcement to remove a disorderly person when his or her conduct interferes with the orderly progress of the meeting, and to call a recess or to adjourn to another time when a lack of public decorum interferes with the orderly conduct of the meeting. I'd also want to note for folks who have been not been here for the last few months, in terms of providing your address rather than announcing that publicly, you may provide your address to Ms. Kearns. It will not appear in the record, but it will just be given to her for verification purposes.
There is actually a sheet up there for you to fill in your address.
Okay, thank you. Second, the board did meet this evening in executive session to discuss matters pertaining to personnel and the terms and conditions of employment. The board also discussed potential litigation topics, as well as to receive information from the superintendent and further discussion.
Okay, and we will move to public comments on the agenda items. Okay. 2 minutes. Number 1, to approve the resolution voting session minutes from January 12th, 2020, and to approve the voting session minutes from January 20th, 2022. Any questions, comments? Okay. Mr. King, Treasurer's report.
The following bills and reports were submitted for approval. Pay bills from the January 2022 general fund payments in the amount of $1,296,092.70. Confirm the January 2022 cafeteria fund payments in the amount of $64,583.31. Report to approve the January 2022 Berkheimer report.
Questions? All right. Moving down to board policy items. First one is to approve the 2022-2023 Central Valley School District calendar. Number 2 is to approve the nomination of a representative of the Beaver Valley Intermediate Unit serving for a term of 3 years beginning July 1st, 2022. Mr. Ross is currently our representative. His term is up. So.
You interested in staying?
No, I think somebody new should go on that board.
And we'll receive nominations at the next board meeting.
Okay. Okay. I'm just writing this down. Okay, and number 3, to approve resolution number 2022-03 for the proposed additions and renovations to the Center Grange Primary School. Any questions? Comments?
I do have a question, just as I don't know. If somebody is nominated on this board and it's a 3-year term and their term is less than that as a school director here, how does that work? If you would not be reelected, or
We'd nominate someone else once they were off. Yeah.
I didn't know if it was something where you would stay on that board for 3 years, even though.
I don't believe so.
I don't
No,
think you'd be able to.
no, once you're off this board, you'd be off that board, and
Just a good
Not
question.
only that, that would be our recommendation to the IU. The rest of the school boards have to vote on it.
Any
I
other?
don't think any of them's ever been turned down, but that is a procedure.
Just kind of a FYI, I didn't.
good question.
Okay. Okay.
Yep.
Mr. O'Neill, there isn't anything there. Do you have anything to share?
No, we have nothing to share with you at this time.
So that takes us to you, Mr. Ross.
Educational items, number 1, to approve, confirm the release time, staff development request. The conference and location for the conference is located on the left, and the individuals that will partake in these conferences is in the middle, and the dates are on the right side, the right column.
Any questions? Okay.
Nothing for technology.
Mr. King, we're back to you.
To approve the following spring coaching positions and stipends pending receipt, review, and acceptance of all clearances. The coaches' names are in the left column. Their position is in the center, and their stipends are on the right. Read all the head coaches. Baseball, Bruce Herstein. Softball, Shannon Sullivan. Tennis, Tim Casey. Middle school volleyball, Candace Glumac. Track and field, Bill King. Swimming, Mark Elder. I guess that's it. Number 2, to approve, to give the final approval for the varsity baseball team to attend spring training in Cocoa Beach, Florida from March 16th to March 21st, 2022. Number 3, to give final approval for the varsity softball team to attend spring training at Pigeon Forge, Tennessee from March 24th to March 27th, 2022.
Questions?
I do have a question, and it can't be answered, but when are we looking to get some things rolling to prep the baseball field and softball fields?
I have that list of items that need to be done. Obviously, we got to wait till the weather breaks. Specific dates and times for the opening of the fields. Sam?
Usually, March 7th is the first official date. We try to get out there as soon as the weather breaks. Hopefully by the end of February.
We feel the fields were left in a pretty good condition last year.
We did a lot of prep work at the end of
I thought that was done. I didn't know. I wondered how that was going to pay off this year.
If you guys want to speak to it, I know Mr. McCrary oversaw some of his projects.
Both fields, actually all 4 fields, middle school, softball, baseball, high school softball, baseball. Fine edging of the outfield, infield baselines, outfield circumference. We put some loam and some infield mix in some of the low spots, did some rolling, all the fields were aerated and overseeded. So they should, when the weather breaks, should be ready to open, nail drag, ready to go.
Okay, good. So
Before you move off, just a reminder to the board athletic committee that the girls tennis and boys soccer positions have been advertised and posted. The applications are due the 11th of February by noon, and interviews will take place the week of the 21st with an intent to hire hopefully in March. Mr. Saccone will get out the relevant information with regards to the times, location for those interviews.
Okay. Okay, extracurricular, Mrs. DeCenzo, do you want me to read or do you?
No, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, so the field trips are listed, the destinations, the groups that will be attending, and the date that they'll be attending.
Okay, any questions about any of that? Mr. Zaretsky, Building and Grounds.
Number one, we're looking to approve and confirm the following building usage requests pending final approval from the superintendent regarding the review of the organization's safety plan, as well as the liability saver. As you see, the building organization date and purpose. Then we will be scheduling, finalizing a building and grounds committee meeting. Dr. Perry,
Looking at the 17th of March. I'll get information out on that.
that's all I have.
Personnel, Mr. Bloom.
We're looking to approve additions to the 2021, 2022 substitute list pending receipt, review and acceptance of all clearances. Number two, to approve an FMLA request for a high school teacher from March 17th, 2022 through June 3rd, 2022. Anything else, Dr. Perry?
Yes, so I believe believe there's going to be additions to the agenda. I'm looking at probably 3 additions. They're not finalized yet.
Thank you. Finance items, I have nothing at this time.
All right. All right, moving to public comment. And once again, no one is going to respond. We will take your questions and respond to them at the beginning of the meeting next week.
Put this down. Thank you. I don't have any questions. I'm just gonna read some comments that I have prepared, that's all. So I'll try to be brief. I just want to first thank Dr. Perry for the responses to my email, my questions that I had. Thank you for that. I just want to start off by giving you all a little insight onto what's been going on in my family in the last 24 hours. My 4th grade daughter came home from school yesterday with questions about changing genders and transgendered and what that means, because she overheard classmates discussing this in class. Her teacher instructed the students to stop talking about it, advised the class that the IT assistant, whom they had all known as Mr. Josh, is now to be called Miss Jenna. My daughter also observed that this individual's physical appearance has also changed. So then we had to have conversations at home about this topic with both of our children, which honestly I did not expect to have at this age. My children are 7 and 9. While I'm grateful that we were able to have these conversations at home and that her teacher stopped any further discussion in class, I would have appreciated the district making parents aware that this had occurred so that they could be better prepared to speak to it to their children at home. I feel the district's response has been to act as though nothing has changed, to expect elementary students to just accept this new information without any question and to move on. This position is at best naive and at worst dismissive of the distress it has caused our children and the valid concerns of parents. The district's inaction is irresponsible and it prioritizes one individual over the mental and emotional health of our children. And it appears again that this district is more concerned about with their liability than what it is in the best interest of these students.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
Any other public comment? Thank you.
Harry?
Just wanted to remind everyone that Monday is snow makeup day. We will not have school on Monday. That was changed from the original calendar. It was announced, but I just want to remind everyone of that. Also, I want to commend the nutrition group, who is our food service company, and Mr. Malley. We went through our cafeteria audit. He comes in, audits our cafeteria program, and all indications are that we are going to pass with flying colors. They were very impressed with our program. So I want to thank Mr. Malley for the work that he does and the folks in his office and our folks from the nutrition group.
Okay. We'll start with you, Mr. McCrary.
High school, I don't have much more to add. The last week or the last meeting, other than, well, quite a few things coming up in March with musical band concert. Our mock trial is currently in session. Mock trial is being done this year virtually. So they actually meet in the library and they go through a trial virtually with other schools. And there's people at the courthouse managing that. Short of that, they're going to add last.
Golf.
I go the same. We have a Valentine's Day cancel from next Friday. Kids are a little excited about. Our academic games, kids competed the 26th and again yesterday. They did very well representing the middle school. As far as administratively, the 6 and I are just doing our mid-year evaluation, observations, differentiated supervision updates, all that fun stuff. Sure, Dr. Perry shared with you that we got the state police feasibility and vulnerability study. I'll go with you guys. Almost by the middle school, knock on wood right now.
Ms. Hicks, anything?
The only other thing I have to add is we are holding a book fair coming up the 17th through the 25th. So our students will be able to attend that through their classes or through open shop.
Okay, Ms. Farragotti.
Finished up our best benchmark assessments, and we're organizing our groups for our tiers. Our students this month are participating in the Kids Heart Challenge. And this week, the PTA is organizing their annual Valentine's Day party for students, which will be Friday. Pretty much the same at Center Grange. We're doing the same thing. We just started our groups from our benchmark assessments, starting some services and supports for the students. We're also doing the hoops for the jump rope for heart. So we're going to be starting that as well. They've already raised some money. The students have already raised some money as well. We did celebrate the 100th day of school on Monday, where the students dressed up like 100-year-old people. It was really cute. Lots of gray hair and canes in Center Grange that day. We are going to be starting our virtual yoga program that we did last year with the students, which they really, really loved. So we're going to be taping that pretty soon so that the kids can virtually in their classrooms. And we also do have the PTA Valentine's Day parties on Friday. And we're also having grooving to the music. You guys have heard about that before too, where the kids just blow off some steam for about an hour or so after school. Grades 1 and 2 only, each a separate day. So they'll be holding that at the end of February and early March.
Spark.
For special education, we're still preparing for the state audit. The facilitated self-assessment has been submitted and approved. And our Bureau Special Education Advisor from the state will be visiting along with 3 peer monitors on February 22nd and 23rd. They'll be doing classroom observations and interviews of regular education teachers, special education teachers, and parents for randomly selected students that they choose. We'll be ready for that. And we had our bocce match at the high school today against Riverside. The county championship is going to begin on March 1st at Southside. And yesterday we had some students from our gifted program attend the academic games equations competition. And they're starting to finalize individuals to go on to the national competition, which will be in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Thank you. Mr. Saccone.
In athletics, actually winter sports are coming to a close. Basketball section games are all due here on Saturday the 12th. Continue their exhibition season up until the 6th, 17th February. However, on February 14th, we will have our parents meeting from the WPIL to determine what seed our boys and girls basketball team, I should mention that, will both be entering postseason play. So we'll find out sometime on Monday evening. As I mentioned earlier, spring sports start March 7th. Baseball, track and field.
Can't believe it's here already.
Mr. Imiller.
Next week, we've had an ELA committee of teachers evaluating new reading series for K to 5 all year long. Next week, we should be wrapping up our final vendor for that. Then we'll be getting back together to compare notes and hopefully come to consensus on a series that we can then present to the administration and then to the board at the March meeting. The timeline for that would be we would present that to the board. It would then go up for public review and then approved in April. That is currently the timeline.
Okay. All righty. Board members.
I just, since you mentioned it, Mr. Sircone, being the tennis court with maintenance and things like that, condition, everything, or is there looking to be anything specific that needs to be done to that before the season starts or after the season?
Tennis courts?
Yes.
Yeah, groups coming in here at the beginning of the spring, right at the end of your winter season. Check out, see if there's any cracks or anything like that. There was some slight cracks in there, but nothing major. They'll patch those things up. before the season starts.
Good. I have nothing else.
Anyone else?
Since I'm the VOTEC rep, as I mentioned last month's meeting, the VOTEC is doing the interview process to replace the retired health occupations instructor. We've interviewed 3 candidates, had 3 candidates present classes to the students. And next week we'll do a follow-up round of questions before we make our decision, and the committee will make a recommendation to the board at its meeting at the end of the month. That's all I have.
Russ.
No, nothing.
Mrs. DeCenzo, you have anything?
No, nothing.
Okay, Mr. O'Neill?
Nothing. Thanks for having a little visit here.
Mr. King?
I don't have anything this evening.
Okay. Mr. Moab?
Nothing for me, thank you.
Mr. Ambrose?
Just have one question for Mr. Saccone. Thank you for putting all that work in. I know you run from gym to gym every night, but I read with interest about a group of school officials, ADs, who want to look at putting the private and charter schools kids, parochial school kids in their own league. And subsequently, they can get into playoffs then against anybody. But I think that group's intention is to split the kids during the regular season and put them in different sections. And I just want to know maybe if you heard anything, is that moving along? Because they do that in Philly. So it's not like they're going to the PIAA and asking them to split the atom. They already do that now. You want to maybe give us an update on that?
We actually had a meeting. I was up there at the WPIO office last Wednesday. It got brought up to our group. Obviously, this new year coming up in 2022, 2023 is a new year of the cycle. Schedules have already came out for next season, for fall.
Okay.
We haven't received the football ones yet, depending on the Aliquippa hearing. That's still in question. But the subcommittee asked the WPIL Board of Control to at least take a look at those things that you had mentioned. And they said they were going to. What comes out of it, we have no idea.
Is that right?
Happened for 3 years. So if anything happens, but
That's what the WPIL said.
they are going to take a look at it. I don't know what will come out of it. I was in a room, there was a lot of conversations, Catholic schools, private schools, a lot of good conversation, but I think that they'll at least look at it, whether or not they move forward with that.
But it is something that can be done at that level, at the WPIL level. Okay, thank you.
I have nothing, so I will ask for a motion. Mr. Bloom, second, Mr. Zaritsky, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.